Hello and welcome to RC and thanks for stopping by. In the last weeks I participated in the Poor Boys RC Speedrun Challenge 2024. Now it's time to resume and waffle a little bit about my experiences. So let me start with my car. For the kit I first had to find out which body to use. Most which are in the MF-01X kits are too bricky for me. So I researched and found the Lotus Europa body with a 225mm wheelbase, like the middle length of the MF-01X. The Lotus is aerodynamic and has a wing. Fun fact, the Lotus body has the same holes as the Jimny body, or on the same spots. Looks like someone at Tamiya wanted the bodies to be easy exchangeable on the M chassis series. So, the body defines now the kit. I ordered the Jimny. As basic tuning parts, I have ball bearings, a 24T steel pinion, a metal motor plate and super mini CVA shocks from Tamiya. For more speed I have the TL1 speed gears and a 13T cheap Amazon motor, which has done a good job in the last year. But for this I also needed a heatsink. This motor gets very hot, but for short runs I think this is okay. And again, the heatsink with the fan I bought for the TT01 was too big. I took the one from my lunchbox and removed the particle parts of the ribs. To get more stability, the car is shimmed. On the suspension arms and on the axles between outer ball bearings and the wheel connector. A big thank you for this tip to the channels Mark Bryan RC, Gottfried RC, Shen RC and Rex RC. And I also like to thank MS Funracer for the tip with the contact foam tires, which did a great job and were very sticky, even on wet surfaces. And the last channel I like to thank is Jacko Trades. The idea with the ludicrous mode is very great. Sorry, I didn't use it. And this was only for just one simple reason. My gear mesh works very perfect. And the window on the gearbox is very small. You even cannot see the gears in stock configuration. So I put some paper into it, mounted the motor and put the paper out again. Perfect. I might have gotten some more speed out of the car in ludicrous mode. But hey, I'm a crawler guy and everything over 15 is rocket speed for me. I hope next year's car will be easier to work on. The AC also has to be changed. The stock Tank 60 works good, but only with nickel metal hydride batteries. But as soon as I changed the jumper on LiPo mode, the car started immediately on my bench tests. I now use the Epsima Thrust Echo V2. This ESC has a motor limit of 11 turns and works only for brushed motors. I also used my new Carson Reflex Real LCD 7th Gen radio, because the receiver has a gyro and all the other features like dual rate, exponential and so on and so on. And a big thumbs up for Carson. They say the radio has a range of 150 meters. I would say 300 are more realistic. This should be everything for the basics of my hardware. So let's get to the runs. Run 0 was for adjusting the car over the radio on high speeds. So I went with 50% throttle dual rate and 15 steering and 8 or 15 for the gyro. Very soon in the first minutes I put the steering dual rate on 30% and the gyro on 3 out of 15. The result was 38.8 miles per hour. But this one was just for me and didn't count in the competition. For run 1 I changed the throttle dual rate on 75%. After several passes, I had 39.1 miles per hour. Great start and faster than my TT01 in the year before. But also the motor temperature went up to 78 degrees Celsius and I had to keep an eye on this. For the second and third runs, my settings were 100% throttle dual rate and steering on 30%. And I had added 3mm spacers inside my shocks to lower the ground clearance. But this day started not so good. I like to do my runs on Sunday mornings around 8 to 9 o'clock AM. But this day it rained. As I got out to my racing spot it was almost noon. The road still was wet and I had a lot of traffic to deal with. 2 footages had to be deleted and the run started new. On run 2 the camera fell over onto the ground and on run 3 a big group of cyclists crossed the video. So every run I showed was a second try. It was annoying to go back to my starting point, resetting the Lotus and to begin again. But I wanted to have clear footages, keep the censoring of bystanders as low as possible and also not to bore you with waiting time. The first result was 41.5 miles an hour. A little bit disappointing. My calculations were 39.1 miles per hour on 75% throttle do rate equal around 52.1 miles per hour on 100%. I know I hadn't used increasing drag and mechanical and electrical resistances in my calculations, but I also saw that the tires sucked water. But at least I hoped on 45. For the next run on that day, I used a new battery. The road got a little bit drier this time, and I got more used to the new speed of the car. I lowered the steering do rate to 25%. Result, 42.0 miles per hour. Still very good for me. As a cool side effect, the motor stayed under 50 degrees Celsius. I celebrated. For the next runs, or run 4 and 5, I did some preparations in my workshop. First, the shock spacers were changed to 6mm. This means my shocks have now a length of 49mm from eye to eye. The ground clearance is now by around 12.5mm at the front and 15mm at the rear. Second, the hole for the saver was covered with one of my channel stickers, so nothing can get into it. For this tip, a big thanks to Need a Bigger Shed. Third, I changed the punch of the EC from medium to strong. The thought behind this is to get faster to the stop speed and stay on this point longer compared to the car increasing its speed more softly as before. I hope you understand me. Fourth and last point, for the radio the sensitivity of the gyro is set on 4 or 15 and the steering do rate is set on 20%. I also took out the program card of the EC with me, so if settings don't match, I could change them right on the spot. And the fifth thing I had done was to remove the wing. The body already has two edges behind the cap and right at the end, which should give some drag and downforce, and I think the wing might be more kind of a brake, so I removed it and hoped for a better result. What should I say? The weather was good, the road was dry, it was really early in the morning, around 8 o'clock, but I crashed right in the first minutes of my fourth run. And this was so hard that I had to stop that day. The saver was broken, I couldn't fix it on the spot, so game over. The body has taken some scratches, but not too much. I think most of the force of the hit went into the wheels. You can see it on the rear right wheel. Mostly the rim is scratched and I had lots of loosened material on the tire. But it still looks usable. I think the changes of the do rate, the gyro and the punch played together and let the car turn sharp right at over 30 miles per hour, which led to flying barrel roll. It also might be that the servo saver broke in the run and the car got out of control for that reason. In the end I don't have enough time for further runs, but I changed the radio settings back to the ones of my 42 run and will replace the saver to a high torque one and try it again next spring. My biggest problem is time, and the best time for these runs are Sunday early mornings. Almost no traffic, but this I can only do every 2 weeks because of family reasons. And it's even depending on the weather. So what I'm taking with me from this event? I had fun to beat myself and push me to new personal bests. And now I have also a cool car in my collection and something to talk about. I also had thoughts about a new car. I'm thinking about the F100 chassis series and improve myself by upgrading this. Although this is not my main topic in this hobby, I had licked some blood now. I also met new friends who shared this great hobby with me. Fun and friends, what do I want more? I like to thank Phil from Poor Boys RC for investing so much time and effort for organizing all this. I also like to thank his Facebook group for giving me value tips. This also counts for all the others I hadn't mentioned yet or maybe forgotten who inspired me with their runs. And I like to thank my homeboys MS Funracer, Stefan RC, Gottfried RC and Tante Buga Buga for all the conversations and input we had on our personal communication channels. I hope I see you all next year. And for sure, the last big thank you goes out for all our families who supported all the racers in the last weeks. So this is my resume of this year's Poor Boy RC Speedrun Challenges. Sincerely happy and satisfied. Looking forward for next year's event. If you have some questions, the comment section is yours. And as always, please like, share and subscribe. See you soon on RC Birds.